One of the most important conceptually speaking pointers that really stuck with my system for a long time to kind of dissect what it means, and it somehow opened up meaningfully in different levels. So while the layers of the onion are being peeled, the same pointer was applicable on many layers, and yet differently. The core was the same, but how it specifically applied to a certain layer of the process was unique and quite different than a different layer. The pointer is 2 words, and the pointer is not in these words. These words may point to that which I am hoping to explore with you today. Here goes. Keep quiet. Just simply keep quiet. Now this keep can be replaced with stay. Stay quiet. Remain quiet. Keep quiet. When the teacher reminds us, or the teaching reminds us to keep quiet, what is it that they're really saying? What is it that they are pointing to that might happen as a result of that reminder? It surely sounds like an instruction, as if it's an instruction to a doer that can take an action or a decision or set an intention to stay quiet, to keep quiet. Because the first word basically is a verb, an action word. So it sounds like that the teaching is telling me, the seeker, to take an action. What if it wasn't an instruction? What if this phrase is not expecting an action out of the one that's receiving the phrase, keep quiet? At the very core of this reminder, this pointer, really what the teaching is trying to point out or point to is remain as you are, unmoving, untouched, unaffected by any pleasure or pain. Unrestricted, beyond craving and resistance, beyond needing anything. Because any of those movements is the noise, opposite of which the quietness, the keeping quiet is pointing to. Remain silent, keep quiet. Be in your natural state. Be as you are. All these pointers are really pointing to a dimension, a place within us, which is free of any conflict, free of any fighting, free of any preference towards whatever the content may be to be any different. It is the place within us that is already naturally surrendered to whatever is present. It is not doing the surrender. It is not trying to surrender. It is not trying to be quiet. Actually, it cannot be anything but quiet. It is impossible for it to be anything other than the silence, the unconditional openness, the unconditional allowing towards everything, every pleasure, every pain, suffering, falling away of suffering coming back, the efforts to deal with the suffering, conflict falling away, dilemma arising, decision making, thinking, feeling, perceiving, sensing, interpreting. The whole spectrum of experiencing that includes the me that experiences, or at least it believes to be the experiencer. All of that is unconditionally within this quietness, this silence. So the teaching pointing again and again to keep quiet, come back, stop, remain as you are, surrender. They are just reminders to that which is already that, which is already surrendered, which is already silent, which is already free of any disturbance. Not that it is bothered by disturbance, Not that it has done a lot of work to push away or solve all the disturbances. It is so unaffected, so unmoved. Its natural essence is silence towards whatever is. That silence in itself is incapable of being disturbed. No matter what form of disturbance is arising within the content, of experience. Whether there is a physical sickness, whether there is a relational dysfunction, whether there is an emotional conflict, whether there is a heavy feeling, whether there is excitement or joy, whether there is celebration, gratitude, humility. So the positive side of the spectrum, the negative side of the spectrum, and everything in between are incapable of causing any movement, any disturbance, any effect on the silence that already is. So keep quiet is not an instruction to follow. Keep quiet is a gentle reminder that just stop. Stop, again, not as an instruction, not as an action, not as something that a doer can do and achieve. It is the very reminder that the doer is within the content, and what is here already is that silence within which the very doer, the very belief and sense of being the doer, the agent of change, the owner of the movements that are there, is within the silence. And that silence is not seeking to get rid of the doer. It doesn't need to get rid of anything. It doesn't even need to get rid of any suffering. Well, the belief in doership and suffering are synonymous here. The question then becomes, once the pointer, the reminder is understood, has landed in the system, once it has opened up that to which it is pointing to, then the question becomes, is it possible to remain silent? And that doesn't mean that the content subsides. It doesn't mean that the thinking stops. It doesn't mean that the suffering stops. Remaining silent is the very absence of the attitude of doership, the change agent that needs to fix something for things to be better for it, and attachment to outcome, to just be absent. Just be absent from behind the scenes. And it is not an intention or an action that can be taken. It is actually the very absence of that intention or action that is so habituated in the system that without even realizing, we are that agent. And that's okay. Is it possible to remain silent towards that tendency as well? That's the paradox. And when this question is asked, is it possible to remain silent? Now the change agent may take that question in and be like, oh, I need to make that happen. And there we go, we are the doer again. And the moment that is caught, what happen is that the doer identity shifts and then takes on the mission to finish that doer, or something just goes silent. Oh, look at that, I'm identified as a doer again. And once that catching happens, is there silence, or is there another movement to finish that initial movement? Because then the same movement has taken on as another movement, thinking that it is going deeper, believing that it is going deeper, and yet it's the same movement. So the silence is postponed, is ignored, is forgotten. And does it bother the silence? Is the silence clenching its fists and thinking, oh shit, why can't I remember myself? No. That sense of not being able to remember, the sense of forgetting the silence, is also just another movement. It is impossible for that which is to not be. And then the seeking mechanism, the seeker may now ask, well, how do I keep quiet? How do I go back to silence? And there we are again. The how means that I will make it happen. Give me the steps that I can follow to do, to reach that which actually is already here. Only if the seeking were to go silent, were to fall away, would become absent. So then the question is, then how do I kill myself? The very famous phenomena named as the ego death, the falling away of the seeker. But then who will do the falling away? It cannot be done. It can definitely happen. The very softness, disidentification with the content and with the change agent in the content, the doer identity in the content, the very softness towards all of that is already the proof. Happen? Will it happen completely? Can I Can I fasten it? Can I make it quicker? Can I make it less intense? Who is this I? This I that is so diligently asking these questions is the very hardening that still remains to be softened. There's nothing that needs to be done. And yet, all the efforts, all the practices, all the intentions and investigations and contemplations and meditations seem to be working towards it. And when it is what is found to be who I really am, it is confirmed that none of those practices, none of those steps and actions and efforts and intentions, finding the answers or finding insights, led to this. All of those experiences are useful, very useful. In the content. So keep quiet means everything as it is can be allowed. And paradoxically, what might happen as more and more allowing starts to show up in the content itself, the very suffering mechanisms and dysfunctions and resistances and clingings, well, first of all, start to show up, start to seem like, oh wow, there's a lot of stuff to be looked at. And then gradually, maybe suddenly, they may morph or dissolve or fall away. Or not. But the unconditional allowing is not affected, is not waiting for all of that to be any different or for it to fall away. Another version of keep quiet could very much be useful in our daily life as seekers, as explorers of consciousness, as explorers of suffering mechanism. As the process deepens or opens up to more awareness of more stuff in our system, the dysfunctions and the challenges, the deep-rooted narratives that are kind of running our life from this place of, maybe it might be unworthiness, it might be hatred, it might be resentment, it might be expectation or anxiety. As there is more and more awareness and more interest in the process unfolding within, somehow it is becoming the priority. Like daily life goes on with our functions happening. We're cooking, we're cleaning, we're talking, we're working, walking, sitting, all the things are going on. And yet the attention somehow is still on the process. What is arising within? How is something interpreted? Judgment is there, worry is there. The attention may now just be interested in what is going on within in relation to everything that is going on outside in life. As this starts to happen, we may find ourselves quite tempted to go out and talk about all of that, especially with the people that are a part of our lives and seem to be unaware of the things that life has brought us to a place where we are aware of them. And we might find it to be our moral responsibility to make them aware or talk to them or sit with them in a way or behave with them in a way that we want them to become aware of their stuff. Or we just innocently feel like sharing our insights or our process, thinking that it may help them or thinking that it may help me. And sometimes it does, sometimes it definitely does. And yet, is it possible to keep quiet? Is it possible to just sit with my own process long enough that this movement to dissipate the energy out there, even though it may feel like, oh, like how selfish of me if I don't share this information or if I don't share this experience with my mother or my sister, because they seem to be suffering. And if I don't share what I found out as the way out of suffering, how selfish of me. And yet that might be a premature movement of the doer identity to dissipate the focus from its own uncovering to helping others. That might just be a facade. That might just be an innocent way of postponing. The more and more the desire to share this weakens, the more and more the actual needed sharing with the world can happen. Let me repeat that again. The more and more the desire to share with others weakens, the more and more the actual needed sharing with the world can happen. when there is no intention to talk about it, the sharing happens by us being it. There's no need to say anything. There's no need to point out anything. There's no need for a conversation. And yet it is being transmitted as that unconditional allowing that now is perceived and sensed by everything around us, everyone around us, maybe even unconsciously. So the change, the transmission, the sharing is still happening without me doing anything. And when someone really interested to understand and the questions come, a friend may come and say, oh, you seem so peaceful, or you seem so open. What happened? And if there is an openness in the system, both the systems, an actual conversation about that may also happen. It's not forbidden, but it's not coming from a place of wanting to change other people because we think they are suffering, because we think that they shouldn't suffer, because we think that we have something more than them that we need to now impart on them. If that's where the sharing is coming from, it's actually another suffering mechanism that can be looked at. So it was really useful to hear, keep quiet. An insight happens, and prematurely I'm like, oh, I need to go and tell my friend, my Sangha member. And I was like, no, keep quiet. Keep quiet. Let it assimilate. Let it land fully. It is the simplest and the most natural way to be. And yet it's not easy. It's not easy. And initially we might have to remind ourselves again and again, again and again. Look at that. This movement of just going out internally and externally can be just seen and allowed. And as more and more allowance and seeing happens, that need to move and to go outward may weaken. May weaken in a way that it naturally happens when it's needed, based on the situation. The doorbell ringing, and of course I get up, open the door, and whoever is there, upward movement. But if the doorbell doesn't ring, I don't need to keep looking at my watch. It's like, why is my friend not here? They were supposed to come in 10 minutes. That suffering mechanism, that need for things to happen in the flow of life so that I can be comfortable, can weaken. feel free to raise your electronic hand on Zoom. I'd love to unmute you and we can have a chat. If you want to say hi or anything to share, a question, feel free to raise your electronic hand. Ranko.
Hi, Robin. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. How are you, Ranko?
Very nice. And you?
Good, good, good to see you.
Thank you. Mostly I just raised my hand to say hello. Nothing special to be said. But it's a very good observation about keeping quiet. You know, because I feel that it has to be like genuine interest in the topic, actually, to really go into it. Otherwise, you will just hear like spiritual teaching and you want to do it. You want to somehow practice it, and you can do it for a long time, actually. I've been there, I've done it, and so it's futile. But this genuine interest, it happens. It happens actually. Somehow it happens. Usually when you let go, when you try to attempt to do it, then it will sneak out from somewhere unexpectedly. And then you are on it.
Yes, very true. And that is the paradox. The moment you stop trying, this earnestness appears from somewhere, and it feels like it's the very same energy that was trying to seek or trying to find out. That same energy has now transformed into, as the seeking fell away or the trying to make it happen fell away, that same energy is now being channeled towards this genuine internal earnestness, which needs no validation from out there. Like nobody even, there's no need for anyone to know that this is going on. And yet this choiceless interest in just being aware of what's in here at each moment just starts happening and can happen effortlessly. And that's when one can laugh at oneself, like, well, who knew that when I stop trying is actually when what I was trying for happens.
Yeah. Funny that you mentioned that word earnestness, because many people are misinterpret that word. And for them, it means like effort, doer's effort. I have to do it. I have to be earnest. And it's very, very common mistake, I think, for many seekers.
Yes, yes, that's a very good point. Earnestness is not something that I can do or I can be. Earnestness is what remains when the I that wants to do or wants to be is not there anymore.
Yeah, maybe we should think some other word for it. Maybe it will be much more efficient.
Do you have a word in mind?
Not yet, but I'm thinking.
No.
If something comes to mind, I will let you know.
Please do, yeah.
Yeah.
Because right now it just feels like a choiceless interest. Like when we start liking a sport, and then we're not even just learning it theoretically, like what the rules are and what the positions are, or how to do whatever that game involves, like certain movements and certain passes and whatnot, and then going to the ground and playing it also. So it's just that interest where you just can't stop thinking about it. And yet here, it's not even thinking about it. It's just this effortless being here for whatever is, without any need to deflect from it or ignore it or suppress it or to do anything with it, really.
But very genuine interest. I remember when I started to listen to Roger Satsangs, I was like hungry for Satsangs. Hunger in me. I have to do it all over again. So that's it. That's the thing, I think.
Yeah. 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 Thank you for pointing that out. That's very accurate, that earnestness can be taken on as another project of achievement that I need to become.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ranko. And that is the point that I would love to land at whenever possible. That there is no mission going on here. Enlightenment, awakening, end of suffering are not missions to accomplish. They are the very baseline within which these missions are prioritized, or within which these missions exist, can exist. The very fabric, the very substance of the whole experience of being human, the multi-layered experience, is possible because of this, exists within this. It's made of the very, the very existence of this is made of this. However solid or gross or real it may seem. The realness, the solidness, the solidity of this is also within this. Thank you for joining, everyone. Until next Sunday. I love you all.